Robert Kiyosaki just doubled down on his silver price prediction for 2026, saying $200 is now on the table. In today's video, we're going to be talking about why silver's bull case continues to grow, as a lot of people are looking at it as only a basically store of value, but they're not understanding what is happening from an industrial shift and the utilization of silver. I'm talking hard silver, and why it's going to probably just continue the rally moving forward amidst, of course, geopolitical tensions and everything else happening in the globe from a global affairs perspective. But again, let's go ahead and dive into the video. But remember, as always, never financial advice. Just trying to put you guys on the plays that I'm in. If you're new around here, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and also consider subscribing to the channel. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, silver futures opens up more bullish than ever before. 98.67, approaching $100, and we're talking just pure silver stacks per ounce cost at the moment. Today, of course, is January 22nd. So what in the world is going on, and will this run up continue? So 98.67, up 2% on the day, 8.76% on the 5-day, 38.69% on the last month, 149% run up in the last 6 months, and then a year, 219%. And people kept on thinking, again, oh, here comes the top, $50 silver, $60 silver, 70, 80, 90. But it's not, guys, it's not. So let's go ahead and dive in and talk about this rally that we haven't seen in a very, 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 very long time in any asset. This looks like cryptocurrency. I'm talking 2017, but there's reasons behind it. So Robert Kiyosaki on X or Twitter. Let me make my screen smaller so you guys can kind of focus in on the subject matter. So, why silver is superior, he said. Gold and silver have been money for thousands of years, right? They're the only forms of currency that are mentioned in, historically speaking, any scriptures. And I'm talking if you date back to thousands and thousands of years ago, even before the Common Era. Gold and silver have been money for thousands of years, but in today's technology age, silver is elevated into an economic structural metal, much like iron was structural metal for the industrial age. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that statement, structural metal for the industrial age when it comes to iron, even copper to an extent, you got to remember, homes, plants, industrial revolution. We're talking early 1900s, iron, copper, and many other metalloids were utilized for structure, for building. In 1990, silver was approximately $5 an ounce. Today in 2026, silver is now $92 an ounce and growing more vital as the structural metal of the world's economic future, a store of value, and as of money. I'm still calling for silver to hit $200 an ounce in 2026. As you know, I could be wrong. What do you all think? Open up the discussion board over on Twitter. So my big thing right now is everything he stated was correct. The fact is there's a store of value, right? A hedge against inflation, a hedge against fiat currency collapsing. Because right now, what's going on from a geopolitical perspective? Well, here in the United States, Donald Trump has made sure to focus a lot on the economy. And although the stock market continues to hit all-time highs, we know Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway back in 2024 and even 2025 started offloading positions heavily. He started getting worried about, or historically speaking, what Berkshire Hathaway has done, or other institutional investors, is they look at PE ratios, which is price to earnings ratios, and they start to pay attention to how do we value these companies. And he stated himself, Warren Buffett, yes, I understand he stepped down now, but he made this statement himself saying that the stock market right now is in a bubble. Okay? It's in a bubble, and it's unprecedented how high the PE ratio is for a lot of these big tech, small tech, mid tech, healthcare, you name it, companies. So with that, a lot of people started realizing, well, if we can't get true valuations for stocks in the stock market, what other commodities or assets are out there that we could double down on to start adding to our portfolio? Well, in addition, historically speaking, whenever there's geopolitical tensions rising, so right now with the United States and the EU, and even China, with all the trade wars that have happened with Donald Trump's tariffs that were enacted back in 2025, with everything that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. And of course, you can never overlook what's happening in the Middle East, because again, we always see tensions rising over there, especially with now Saudi Arabia, Saudi, and we see it even with the Emirates, Al Imarat, or Iran. Just again, continued geopolitical tensions, and don't even mention Yemen or what's happening out there. Globally speaking, everyone is hurting. Even my home country. Again, I'm Sudanese American. I was born in Sudan. That's where I was born, literally. And right now, it's also a war-torn country. Maybe in the recovery phase of that. But again, you're talking African regions, European regions, this whole race for Greenland or the acquisition of Greenland. US and its allies are butting heads. Like, what is going on? So with that being said, and of course, don't even mention Japan and their bonds. Too much tensions right now that are making people scared of monetary policy, and also how it could impact fiat currency. We know fiat is inflationary. The Federal Reserve and any feds of any government have the right to print fiat whenever they feel the need to. Whenever things get tough, they print more dollars, more money, more currencies. But that's not a sustainable model. So people decided to start looking at different avenues. And that's why we saw crypto start to decouple from the stock market and fiat currency. And it was outperforming most assets. But now people are like, well, there's a lot of institutions that have entered into the crypto market. There's the BlackRocks of the world and so many that have big positions and they're able to kind of do what it is that they please. And it's turned people off. So again, people started losing faith in aspects of crypto. And we're seeing now this synergy, retail, institutions, global leaders, China, the US, flocking towards these precious metals. And we're seeing them double down, of course, on gold, but more so than even gold is silver, because its utilization in the tech industry. It's utilized in so many different facets, for vehicle manufacturing, for computer manufacturing, for data centers, you name it. So the fact is, we're seeing this really big scarcity type event occur when it comes to silver. So with that, I think Robert Kiyosaki's $200 target for 2026 per ounce of silver is not too far-fetched whatsoever. And I think we could even see a continued squeeze all-time high after all-time high, unless something happens from a global perspective that tells us, hey, things are finally cooling off and we're going to enter into a time of calm. But as of right now, there's nothing encouraging these types of statements or this type of potential. So with that being said, let's see where it goes. I'm very excited for the short-term and long-term future. Robert Kiyosaki's 2026 silver prediction is pretty interesting. He also acknowledged the prediction could not be guaranteed. Wrong or not, the forecast does have a lot to commend it. Namely, silver has delivered gains roughly of 30% in the last 3 weeks. Some key drivers behind the rally include global central banks cutting interest rates and persistent geopolitical uncertainty underpinning demand, as I stated. The third factor is more structural. That is, silver is increasingly being viewed as a green metal, with demand expanding well beyond its traditional monetary role and its conductivity as a conductor potential has made it a critical input in renewable energy systems, electric vehicles, and semiconductors. Still, Kiyosaki is also right to be cautious as the shift in interest rate expectations, easing geopolitical tensions, or a cooling of speculative activity could trigger sharp pullbacks. And we saw this actually, and we witnessed it during yesterday's market open, when Donald Trump decided to calm down and say, you know what, we're not going to use any kind of military action for Greenland. What did it do? If we scroll down here, I just want to show you guys what happened. As soon as that statement was made that he's no longer going to be even imposing tariffs on the EU, boom, just like that, within a snap of a finger, we saw people offload their position. Gold dropped from 48.50 to 47.77. Silver went from 93.50 all the way to 90.61. So you have to make sure if you're investing in silver, investing in gold, or any other assets short term, then you need to make sure you're paying attention to day-to-day news, because it's going to affect your position's value at that time. If you're someone that's a long-term holder looking to hold for the next 30, 40, 50 years, then you're not worried about this. Just keep stacking your stacks. I do appreciate your guys' support as always. That's all I have for you guys today. So until next time, as always, everybody, keep investing. Peace.